The other big defense strategy that I think can be effective here is just confusion. Can we just create enough confusion here in the jury so that you can't feel your confidence beyond a reasonable doubt because there's just so much confusion here.
Well, if you mix up October 24th with October 26th, that's one easy way. You know, how many jurors are paying that close attention? I think they will with closing arguments, but you know, that's one way that you focus on that phone call, and that was a hit. You know, they really dinged Cohen on that, at least as, you know, as Andrew mentioned, raising that reasonable doubt as to that phone call.
But that's a standard defense strategy.
Yeah,
is chaos and confusion, and also to have so much chaos that you need to have an extremely organized summation and so that you lay so many traps, so many things that need to be addressed that you sort of really make it difficult for the prosecution to have a coherent story that they can tell on their own. But I don't think Josh Steinglass, first, I don't think it's that complicated a case. And I also feel like, you know, Josh Steinglass is such a pro. I mean, I think he knows what he has to do.
How strategic do you think it was that Todd was jumping all over the place? Because my own personal view is that it was less strategic than it was accidental. Like, I don't think it was all that, like the timeline jumping, I thought he had some checklists and he was going down them and they were thematic, but I'm not sure that he was deliberately mixing up the narrative or the chronology in a way designed to disorient the jurors, even though that was the impact at times.
I mean, that could be right. I do think at times it was deliberate, and it does destabilize the witness because you can get the witness being confused. And I actually thought one of the things that was great was, like a lot of times somebody like Mike Cohen would be like showing like, I know everything and I'm going to be, and instead he was really good at saying, can you ask that again? What are you saying? And I have to remember, as he was doing that, I was like, I had the exact same question. I was like, I do not understand your question. So that's when he jumps, I think it's to sort of have him not be able to understand the context and have to answer out of context. I agree with you that it may not all be strategic.
Well, one thing where I think he was definitely strategic is how the morning session before lunch ended. There was but the way that he elicited the sustained objection, and then after sustained is the last word, I think this is a good time for him. It was his suggestion for the lunch break at that time.
This version of Michael Cohen is so extraordinarily better than any version of Michael Cohen we've ever seen. And I started to wonder today, imagine if this was the Michael Cohen who showed up for the congressional testimony, for every previous situation.
Can I fight back with you a little bit on that? I'll push back. So his tone was really different, but he's still substantively, in some respects, a mirror image of Donald Trump. This is a person who still has a lot of difficulty taking responsibility. He doesn't like being emasculated. The idea that he is not at the top of the heap is offensive to him. So, for example, the amount of fighting back he did about the fact that at some point he wanted a White House job was unnecessary. He may have done it tonally in a way that was much more acceptable to ears, but like he shouldn't have thought that much on that.
I agree completely. He's ridiculous. I'm just saying, it's the best version of this ridiculous character. There's a very, very strong chance that this testimony's over on Monday. Very likely at this point.
Very likely. The question for me about Monday is only how many hours are left for a charging conference, and do they get to begin summations on Tuesday morning?
Right.
You don't think didn't the judge want to have summations on Tuesday?
Tuesday? Yes.
And then he wants it to be all day, like it's going to begin and end on Tuesday.
But he also said that he doesn't want summations and the charge to be separated from each other in terms of giving it to the jury. He didn't want the jury to have a break before the charge.
So you don't think the question is whether there's going to be a defense case? You don't think it's going to happen?
I think it is an open question, formally designed to keep the prosecutors working over the weekend and people like us guessing and talking. And on Sunday night, we'll get some sort of unreportable or off-the-record indication.
I agree.
Right.
I don't even think they end up offering.
So, I started to wonder today, has the podcast in its perverse way, made Michael Cohen a better witness because crazy Cohen is on the podcast. You know, profane and screaming.
He gets it out.
And I hate Donald Trump and I want him in jail, like all that stuff that he does. And he's out of the system and he comes in and sits in the witness stand and he's presentable.
I have a different view. I think that with the sort of crucible of the trial and sitting down with prosecutors and I think probably a team of defense lawyers and sort of having to sort of practice what cross would be, which by the way, there's nothing wrong with it. It happens. Every single witness goes through that. Every single witness you see on the prosecution or defense side, that happens. I just think that sort of forces discipline. And I think people told him, you lose your temper, they win. So like, if you are sitting there and trying to trying to say, like, your ego is you want to prevail, you want to be viewed as successful, you want to be viewed as a truth teller, don't blow up. So I think that was sort of stressed to him. So I think it sort of forced, what I think is a sort of somebody who is not used to discipline having to sort of be really disciplined. And it's I think, and it's really remarkable. I mean, he is doing really well. I thought when they talked about his wife and his daughter, I thought he was going to lose it. And I could imagine being on the stand, losing it, especially the one about the daughter, which seemed so unfair, and he was really good on it.
Right, and Lisa mentioned when our conversation in the car, I mean, he was very different temperamentally in the civil fraud trial. Like Lisa pointed out, he objected to questions by Alina Habba and said, and it was just stuff like that, and there was like none of that. There was one point in the trial where he was asked by Blanche and the judge to respond only to the questions and not digress. That happened like a million times during the civil fraud trial.
What did you make of, but when they played the podcast, I was struck at one, he didn't really sound like himself. I mean, I almost thought they changed
They burst the volume at first, and then it came down a little.
Yeah, so that, I think, but I actually thought that was like one of the smarter moves because he wasn't really landing anything else. And I thought that's useful because it showed a really different side of him.
Yeah.
If you're the jurors and you're listening to that, are you thinking the guy before me is not the real Michael Cohen and this is all a sham and the real Michael Cohen is the recorded voice I just heard? Because they've heard other recordings of him too,